Welcome back to Let's Think About It with Dr. E. I am so excited to have a guest with me today. Listen, guys, she is an amazing, awesome woman that I met some years ago. I want to say at a summit, and we met, and I think that she's just been amazing. So, guys, listen, if you want to know how to set your business up, you want to know how to tap in, she is one of the most excellent resources that I've been connected to in this season of my life, for the businesses, the many businesses that we run. We run a lot. But I want to introduce Chisa Pennix-Brown.
Because I'm like, who is that? Who's that?
Chisa Pennix-Brown. Miss Chisa, how are you?
I am marvelous. I'm excited for everything that's getting ready to happen. All of this abundance that you and I seem to keep just drawing to ourselves.
All of it.
And we just can't stop being abundant. So I'm excited for that.
Well, good. Tell me, I have your book, The 90-Day Focus. How can we kind of use that to end the year, but yet propel us into the new year? Because I want y'all to go get that book.
Yes, that's a great question. So the thing about the 90-Day Focus is it was always written with the intention of knowing that people were going to be in transition. Like we're just always, whether we want to be or whether we force ourselves to be, it's always some transition. But if you look at things, just look at nature, right? Yeah. Like we don't even have to go that far. Everything is in quarters. And so if you're right now getting ready to say, well, listen, it's a new year, then take the time right now to really see what you need to work on. And then this way you can set up your next 90 days, right?
Gotcha.
And so I think that at this time of year, what we really need to do is see what we really want, but be more cognizant of what we need. And if you notice that those are not the same thing, now they could be the same thing for a lot of people, but focus on what you really need. And so like this is the time of year where I spend more money on resources. If I feel like I need something that I didn't have before, maybe renewing memberships, maybe getting into some new things that I didn't do, or, paying people that can improve, the marketing or anything like that. This is the time of year to kind of really do that. One, because then you can write that off for your taxes next year. Okay. So spend all of the money that you can spend now. But two is just like that renewal, and so the 90-day focus hopes that your mind will consistently be renewed every 90 days, and that whatever you were thinking that you wanted in the beginning, hopefully by the end of that 90 days you get it. And then that means you can move on to the next thing and keep growing.
Gotcha. Now, where can they purchase the book?
You can go to Amazon. You can go to the90dayfocus.com. You can get it at giveittothepeople.com. So, if you just look up 90-Day Focus, your action plan for success, they'll be able to just go ahead and buy it, and it'll come up right online for them.
Well, good. You said something I think was key. I'm telling people this year, don't write a resolution, but write a reflection.
Oh.
I want you to reflect on what you didn't finish. 24, 23, 21, 22, even back to the pandemic. Because some of those things are some good things you just need to go back and pick up and finish what you started. So I'm often telling people, resolutions, I'm going to start a new diet. I'm going to do something new in 25. No, I want you to reflect on what this year was for you or the past couple of years, and then how can you take what you didn't finish and move it into the new year. So when you think about the word reflection, how can a person who's in business reflect upon how they want to catapult their business to the next level or move it from where they are now to new opportunities in 2025? Because I think some people's minds are already shut down. There's not going to be any opportunities in 25.
Oh, if that's your mindset, then you're behind, I mean, so for me, there are things at this time of year that I know are not going to be achieved, right? And I know that because people do shut down, right? Businesses shut down, government shuts down. And so for us, we do a lot of contracting that revolves around government or that revolves around colleges and universities. So there is a literal shutdown of that time, which means that if you didn't get it in, it's not going to happen until 2025. So this is the time that right now, when you reflect, look at the things that you really want to do with your business. The things that maybe you didn't have the money, you didn't have the opportunity, you didn't have the connections, you didn't have the resources, and then really make a list of all of those things. And even if it's something that's outrageous that feels like, okay, well, I don't even know if I can do this in 2025. Okay, write that list. Because what I'm finding specifically right now in this season is I didn't even realize, I think you always kind of write your path, but there are things that I wanted years ago, just like you said, that are coming to pass now. There are connections that I'm like, at this point in time, hey, we really need to do this because maybe we couldn't afford it before, but now we can. So if you see the value in it and how it can push your business forward, right? And so like, for instance, one thing, and it's so funny, and I say this, and I know I can say God on your show, right? I said, God will put me in my place because I said, and this is true, I don't like cohorts, right? So a lot of things in business, they want to revolve around cohorts and putting you with people for 8 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks or whatever, right? My friend sends me something and she's like, you need to be in this cohort. And it's a 1-year cohort. I have never, never, okay, I need you to understand, never thought about a year. I was like, that's a whole lot of life right there. But it's like, it's one, and I didn't even look at all of the parameters, right? But I know it's 1 day a month, and let me tell you how God works. I take off on Wednesdays because that's my wellness day. That's my mental wealth day. You got to get your hair done, get your face done, you know, on Wednesdays, right? So I do that on Wednesdays, and this program just happens to be 1 Wednesday a month.
Oh, wow.
So God already worked my schedule out to where I do have the time. It's not interfering with anything else. And that means if I get into this cohort that I need to just adjust that Wednesday. But the time and the space and the opportunity is there. And it's one of those things where it's so aligned with where I am and where I want to go that it's like, okay, he gave you the opportunity to do it. So you say you don't want something, but then the opportunity comes and it's like, okay. So for me, when I look at that and I look at the 90-day focus, it's like, this was not in the focus. And I'll know, you know, once I apply, get in and everything like that, you know, I know what the commitment is. But it's one of those things where I asked for something and I feel like he's giving it to me in a different way than I asked for it, right? So I said, I want to be connected to such and such and all of this stuff, and I want to know some things and be in the mix. And he was like, oh, you want to be in the mix? I got you. I'm going to mix it up for you on your Wednesdays when you normally take a day. And I'm just like, and this one, so I texted my husband, I'm just like, I said, God is funny because it's just like when I'm talking to entrepreneurs and I tell them, they're like, oh, I don't like social media. Okay, and I said, does your business like social media? So I don't like cohorts, but guess what? Give it to the people, gonna like the cohort, right? And so it's just like understanding that this is the season now for you to say the things that you want. And you don't know how they're going to come to you, but it's time for them to come to you. So put it out there.
Put it out there. Now, I love cohorts.
I knew you would, though.
I do. I love
but it's the way you teach, right?
So I do one every year at Princeton. I'm going to one in Oxford at the end of March. So I'll be in the UK for 9 days. So I love cohorts. I love them because it's meeting new people.
It is.
And it's in different spaces and arenas. And I get to travel. And because I love traveling. And so I love them. But the one thing that I feel like I need to reflect upon is for me is that I overextend myself.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell people, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can. And then I start looking at my schedule like, no, I can't do it. And now I done told them, yes, I done committed. So I'm committing to myself not to overextend in 25, but to really focus on, I joined, put a membership this year into writing grants. So I made it this year to learn grants. This was my focus this year. I really wanted to learn grants. So I made a grant mastery class because I wanted to, there's other money out here.
It is.
And so I said, I want to learn how to write the grants myself. Because I want to write grants for myself and other people.
There you go.
So my focus this year was a focus, and so we've been working on these grants, and so now the actual 12-week training will start the first of the year. And when we finish, we'll be so empowered and we'll have all the tools and resources to write grants for other people. She's basically going to hand us her whole blueprint. And so I'm so amazed to be connected to this young lady. She's in Tennessee, African-American young lady, brilliant. And so she kind of just fell into my lap through somebody. And it's one of those things, you know, you didn't know you needed. I just happened to catch her on Instagram, IG. Somebody said, Erica, catch her. I knew a friend of mine had that he went through it. And it's just, we've just connected, and it's been one of those amazing things. So sometimes you don't know you really need it, because sometimes we always looking at that traditional way. I'm going to go to the bank, get a loan. Well, that might not be for everybody.
No.
Grants might be the season. I'm telling people, they think, well, this new administration, grants going to go away. There's some things they can't just take away. I'm telling people, I know they're saying we're going to get rid of Department of Education, which is not that easy. You can't just get rid of Department of Education. That just can't go away. There's some things that got to go. Now, they might change some things, but I think there are a lot of people out here that's going to fight a lot of things. And that's the other thing, fight for what you want. So as a business owner, what would you tell people, how would you tell them to get connected as far as community and what's in their local community that they can make a difference? Because there's resources in our local community that we don't access.
There are resources that I think people don't know about. And so one of the things that we're doing specifically, and so this is centered in North Carolina because that's where we're at, but it's something that I would say could be US wide, because we're starting a membership that will launch in January called the Give It, Get It membership. Yes. So we wanted it to parallel with what we do with Give It to the People. And so I'm always a big believer that the reason that people don't, get as much money as they need is because people don't even know about them. Absolutely. So for me, marketing has always been a big thing, and letting people know who you are and what you do and articulating that value. The other thing that I would say is not only with that membership being online, which I think will be more empowering for a lot of people. So if you're not in North Carolina, that's fine, because the thing is, when I teach right now, typically for the last 12 years or so, most of the stuff's not recorded, right? And that's just because of the payment schedule, right? And so the colleges and universities and stuff, they pay for you to be live, right? They're not paying for you to replay every time.
Absolutely.
So in our membership, we'll have some things that are already in there that are recorded, and then the live things will be recorded so people can go back and watch them, and then they can access what they need specifically. And so for us being in business as long as we have with our previous company, Lady Business, and now Give It to the People is 3 going into 4 years. The thing for me is to really say, listen, we don't need all of this fluff. Like, a lot of people want to sell you all of the fluffy bunny ears and stuff. And it's just like, no, I don't really need that. Like, this, I need this thing. And so, like, part of the reason why I'm not really a cohort person is because I'm like, let me come to that one thing that I need and let me learn that, and then let me actually go apply it.
Absolutely.
And so I think that, and I mean, it's nothing wrong with cohorts. It's just people learn in different ways.
Absolutely.
And so for me, it's just, and I know a lot of people can do both, right? But what can I learn today and apply it? And so I'm the person that I'm going to take a class and I'm going to see how it applies to my business. And I'll take stuff that, even things that I know, right? Because somebody teaches it a different way.
Absolutely.
And it's always at least 1, 2, 3 nuggets that you can get from somebody else. So I love to still take classes. And even like, so right now AI is big, and I teach on AI, right? But how one person uses it in relation to what their business is or their industry could be drastically different.
Absolutely.
And there are so many different apps, and they're not going to stop being developed, that it allows you to then see, well, what's good for me. So I learn stuff all the time. It doesn't mean that everything is going to be something that's going to resonate with me immediately, but I learned something last year that I might use next year, And so I think it's just learning it, seeing what's going to work for you. And so when you say that to me, I have this thing, and we have even some new t-shirts that are out now called Be in the Ecosystem, right? And so when I say that, I am really meaning that, you can't just sit on the board and think that that means that you're in everything.
Absolutely.
You can't just go to one meeting and think that that's going to be everything. If you're not actively participating in your system wherever you live, it's not going to be as effective.
Exactly.
So it's the same thing as you can open up a business and it's like, oh God, grand opening, that's great. But you got to stay open the rest of the time.
Stay open,
so grand opening and you'll have a grand closing. That's what's going to happen. And it's like, did you forget that? And it's even like this, even if you look at a marriage, right? Everybody puts so much emphasis into the wedding. Okay, well, what happens after the wedding is over? Oh, and then we got to go on the honeymoon. And what happens after the honeymoon is over, right? Like, we want to stay together. And so I look at marriage like a business. I look at business like a marriage. Like, these things do matter, and your personal life does matter, who you're connected to.
Absolutely.
And I promise you, just the more that you get into business, and people say it all the time, but it is true about relationships.
Absolutely.
And if people know you, and I have spent this year specifically making sure that people know Give It to the People. And so in branding that, it not to say it was difficult, but it's taken a little while because everybody lady business, right?
Yes,
Everybody.
Yes.
So then people are like, well, what is this? Give it to the people. This is some new stuff. And then it's like, okay, we need to make you understand it's not just me anymore. It's me and my husband.
Yes.
And this is the difference in what we do. And so I think we've established that, but everybody still doesn't know you. So you have to make sure that people know you, right? And that you're connected to some other people that can get you some things that you can't get on your own.
Absolutely. One of the, I don't know if I shared this with you, but one of the biggest hurdles that we had to overcome, wish to overcome with Wild Water Drink was we paid a young lady $60,000 to do our food truck. She took our money. We got no truck. We got an attorney. We went through all that, got a private investigator. In Charlotte, she's somewhere still in the area because she's done recently just did it to somebody else. For several people, she's been on the news. Her name, and she's the food truck queen, is who her name is. And I don't mind telling because I paid a lot.
Oh no, you got to put it on blast so nobody else gets scammed.
She took $60,000, and the thing about it is that. I had receipts. I had all my stuff. Some of the other people that tried to take her to court, they tried to find her, they didn't have receipts. I had all my paperwork.
Of course you did.
So when I went to the attorney, we had everything. So we had got her, we didn't give her no cash. I gave her a certified check. We gave her all of that. And so, having said that, that set Wild Water Drink back. Mentally, it set us back because we gave her money to do a food truck. We was going to launch it. It was going to be. And so we kind of just put that to the side.
Yeah.
So now we've been meeting to talk about and been meeting with some other people. Now we got to get it. So now we got to get us another food truck. We got to do what we said we were going to do.
Yes.
Because, y'all, I didn't say $600.
No, she said 60.
60,000. We gave her $60,000. Which y'all understand that. We didn't just, that's a hard earned money. We worked hard for that. And for this lady to take our money and not give it back to you, I'm thinking like, okay, I done said people in Charlotte, listen, this is what she looked like. Y'all see her on the street, let me know. And so, in business, that kind of thing sets you back. It does something to you mentally.
Yeah.
Like I gave money, and we support our own. Hey, she sold us all this dream, and I'm thinking like, okay. And it wasn't until later that my brothers then started doing research that we would find stuff. But it was hard to find some stuff on her. It's kind of here, but once we realized she had done this to other people. And so I'm thinking like, so how do you take a business and you tell people, because I know I'm not the only person that's lost money. You went out on a limb to help somebody else. Somebody says, okay, I done had a setback. How do I move forward?
It's always going to be a setback in business. Like, I mean, it might not be a money thing. It could be you thought you were going to go a certain place and that didn't work out. You know what I mean? It could be that somebody told you that there was a great opportunity and they didn't choose you, right? And so like, even with contracting, you have to bid.
Yes.
They tell you, well, sometimes they tell you how much money the contract is worth. Sometimes they don't, right? But you still have to bid, right? And then the thing is, somebody else got it. And you spend all of that time. It's still disheartening, right? And so for me, I've had enough of those disappointments, which is how 90 Day Focus came to pass in the first place, where I'm just like, you have to make a decision that you're going to move forward and you're going to bounce back. And so there's a lesson to be learned in that. And I mean, sometimes it's a really hard lesson. I've never lost 60,000. Okay. I'm not saying it in a bad way.
It was hard.
Because I feel like I would just lose my mind. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I don't care if it's $6, $600, $6,000. I mean, it's still not there anymore. And there is something in that lesson. So I'm going to just tell you what I prophesy. I prophesy there's a book that's coming out of that 60,000 that was lost. And I feel like somebody's going to get some money back. Okay, I'm just going to tell you what it's going to be. But I think the biggest thing is that there's always going to be a setback. And so like, even with us, we've had at least 3 deaths in the family this year. That's a setback for you. Even though it's not a business thing, your emotions are all over the place, you know? And then you have to kind of take into consideration, okay, well, what can I do? And so I look at every day, there's at least one thing I can do every day that works for the business. And even in sadness, depression, anxiety, stress, whatever that is, you still got to do your business. Because, I mean, it's one of those things where if you don't do it, who's going to do it?
Absolutely.
So I look at it as, okay, always, what can I do? Because it's always somebody out here, well, I can't do what they said. Okay, so what can you do? Like, that's to me is the biggest thing. And people that complain like that drive me completely crazy because I'm just like, okay, so that happened. All right. So what can we do now? Like, what can we move on with? And so, you know, like in even some of the things that we're doing, we've had disappointments happen, but I'm just like, okay, so that was done. So now let's do something else. Let's see what the next thing is. And that's what you got to do. You have to be able to bounce back, and you have to have some sense of tenacity and resilience that is going to allow you to even open your mind to new opportunities. And hopefully, you know, the next person won't do anything unscrupulous like that, but it could be you that's holding you back.
Exactly. So we learned something from that. We learned a valuable lesson. And one of the lessons that we learned in that, number one, never pay nobody all up front. And you have, and then when you finish my truck or my product, you get the rest of their money. That's number one. Number two, I really need to do my background check on you. Even though she showed us some of her work, we didn't do a deeper dive into her like we should have. And then number three, you know, you just trust people and don't go for the story. You know, she gave us a story too. Don't go for the story, because sometimes the story may not be true. They give you a story like, you know, oh, okay, da, da, da. And I love God. I'm a preacher and all that. But when you bring God into that and you try to say that, God's gonna hold you accountable for what you say.
Oh yes.
And she brought God and all this kind of stuff, and she tried to prophesy and cry and all that kind of stuff. So now next time I'm gonna be a little more. Let me be a little more discerning. I love God too, but this is business, okay? And we gotta have some common sense. We use wisdom. Now, what we're gonna do from here? We're gonna move forward because you're playing with my money now. That's a whole nother gamut, because our lives were on hold for a minute. So we've been on hold with that. So I'm saying to a business owner, take the hard lessons and the hard hits and learn from them. As Chisa said, take that 90-day focus, write a new plan. Okay, so what we're gonna do next?
Yeah. But you know what? You brought up something that maybe you didn't think about. You said you didn't do your research on her, but she might have did her research on you. And if she did, that was an end. You know what I mean? And so what I've seen with scammers,
because they out here.
Because I am not a scammer. People know I pay their money. But I never want to be associated with that. And I also don't want the karma that comes from that. And I know that I'm going to do good and put good out into the world, and God is going to bless that back. So I don't play those games. I try not to lie to people, tell them I can't do something.
That's right.
That's never in my spirit. But a lot of times what I've seen is, and I mean, you've seen it on all of the TV shows and stuff, right? And like, oh, it could never happen to me. The scammer does their research on you, so they know which point to push, so they know where the vulnerability is. And these people now, and let's just be clear, we give away so much information that it is easier to find where we go, who likes us, who we're with.
That's right.
We're tagging people in pictures and stuff like that.
That's right.
And that's why if anybody notices, you won't come across one post that I have out that my husband is tagged in. Everything has a little hashtag for Mr. Brown, but it's no social media that he's tagged in. And why? Because he said he doesn't, that's not his thing.
Exactly.
Now he does his part for the business, but you will not be able to be like, oh, that's tagged, that's her husband. Let me go look and see what's going on. Because I don't play about that one, okay?
She don't, y'all.
What I don't do is that, okay? Shut the whole business down. But the biggest thing is, though, is that people do their research, you know? And they kind of feel like they can do certain things because they know and they've researched you, you know? And so I think for us, we do have to do our research and we have to be diligent and discerning about, you know, how we spend our time, who we spend our time with, and even take that into consideration where we're talking about scammers that are outside, but what about the scammers that are inside? It could be your kids. It could be your spouse. It could be your girlfriend, your best friend, your person that wants to be a business partner, right? And I've seen some things where, and I always say this, when people don't clap for you or they're not, you know, like you can't bring good news around them and stuff like that, they don't mean to be a scammer, right? You know, they mean to probably do well, but then they also may be like, well, why is this not going well in my life? Well, why is this not in my business and stuff? And it's just like, I have one friend who always says, well, you can't out hustle me. So the thing is, I mean, you know, when it comes to that, I'm going to work, okay? I mean, work may not look the same for me as it does for you, but I'm going to go to work and go get this money. And some other people are just like, oh, I just want to be such and such, and I just want to, okay, you can't get there if you don't do any work.
Gotta do the work.
You know, I mean, even if you put a toe on the internet, I mean, the toes got to be done.
Exactly, but you got to do the work. That's the part. Listen, y'all, you got to do the work. It's not gonna come just by saying osmosis. You got to make the connections. You got to make it happen. You got to find people. You got to get connected. And I think that's the thing that people are so leery about, getting connections. So what I would do is, if I want to get to know or think I want to get connected, if I know that person may know somebody, hey,
there you go.
I noticed that I've seen you at a couple of events with this person. What about this person? Just call the person.
Yeah.
Somebody you know that might know that person, because if they really a friend of you, they're gonna tell you.
Oh, definitely.
So in getting connected, find the right people to be around in this next season of your life, because I'm telling you, there's always scammers. I was telling one of our clients the other day, you're gonna have cheaters, winners, and losers. And so know the cheaters, know the winners, know the losers. And when you know who those people are around you, or who trying to come at you, you'll know what to do, what to say, who to run away from, and say, I can't let you in my circle.
Yeah.
Because I have a space that not everybody can get into.
They can't penetrate. It's a boundary.
Exactly.
It's a boundary.
You can't get into that. Everybody's not getting into that space. And so when you know you can't get into space, I've had people try to come through other people, come through the back door.
Exactly.
I mean, try everything.
Go above or below.
Yeah, everything. I'm thinking like, well, this sounds like this sunset. Is this sunset? Well, yeah. No, I'm sorry, I can't do that. So then not only are you blocked, they block. So everybody blocked. So you can't. Yeah. So I already know you're not coming through no more. I'm not getting you in. You just can't do it. Business is about connection. It's about people. It's about community. It's about making a transition from Greensboro to Durham. Durham has so much rich. I mean, that transition. I mean,
I love it.
I know.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest.
It's all black. It's just the blackness. Fight the
it
power.
is, and I mean, I used to live in Durham before 20 years ago. So coming back to Durham and just being in the environment, it's definitely blackity black, and I do love that.
Yes.
It's definitely. I don't feel like it's silos in the same way. I just feel like you just have to know who's who and what you need to get to.
Absolutely.
And there are some things that I haven't got to yet, you know? And the thing is, I think that you have to be willing to find those connections, right? And so like when we're talking about the membership, I think that's one of the things that we really looked at was, if I tell you that this person is an expert and really good in this, that you could trust it.
Absolutely.
That you didn't have to go anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? That it was word is bond. This person is good.
Absolutely.
They will not scam you. They will do what we said, that whatever they're going to do. You will be a good client for them because I know that they're going to deliver.
Because you vetted them.
Definitely.
For them to be a part of your network.
Yeah, because you can't just come off the street and say, oh, I'm going to do such and such. No. You know, and I always like to look at people and see what they're actually putting out in their content and how they show up in the world online and in person, right?
Absolutely.
And I pay attention. And so I think that the biggest thing that I could say that I've learned in moving to Durham is not being as known, and I mean me individually, because I've been in Greensboro for 18 years. So the transition from being able to be in some systems where people didn't know you, and then me changing the business, that was different. So when I would say give it to the people, they'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, I think I heard of that. And then I'll be like, but lady business, and then there was a lot of people that heard of that. So it was that, but it's been a quiet process, quiet and loud at the same time, right? So quiet in, let me listen. Let me not talk as much. Let me just see who's there. And as soon as I did that, and I literally mean as soon as I did that, we got our first contract. It wasn't, and it was because somebody invited me to a meeting, right? I went to the meeting, I'm listening, and I'm like, this is a mess. And I told them, I said, listen, it sounds like what you have is a whole bunch of chiefs. Most of you are Indians. You're not chiefs, right? And this is not to be disrespectful. It's just to, give that thing. And I'm just like, what you need is one person that's in charge of everything, and you need somebody to delegate, and you need somebody to do all the things that you're saying that you're doing, but you've been working on a project for 2 months and you have not gotten anywhere. And then we got our first contract, which was with the city of Durham and being able to work with the mayor. But it was being in place, right? Now, would I have been able to just transition into that if I hadn't already made relationships before I got there? Absolutely. And so that was the thing. And then us doing the Black Biz Summit, which is the largest Black business summit in the state of North Carolina.
It's amazing.
That has kind of put us in a whole nother category as well, but that was something that I wanted to be an economic development in the state. So it's going from one thing, learning something, but I've been listening a whole lot more than I've been talking. And so I talk, of course, right? We're going to speak up, but I just listen a lot more. And then you sitting and listening and people are not sure who you are, you just get to absorb some stuff that maybe you wouldn't get to absorb. And then I'm going to say this too, because vanity has to come into play, right? Yes. Come on, hair done, right? Yes. When you come in the room and you put your clothes on and that hair is done and that face is done and you about business, you can sit there, right? And I do this, I'm just going to tell you, and people come to you.
Yes.
I don't really go to people because I just sit there and I just look like I might be about something. And they come over there and they want to know about you and then they talk. And then it's amazing how people assume things from what they see on the outside.
Absolutely.
And then they always come up, are you a makeup artist? Are you a hairstylist? And I'm like, no, what we do is we do conferences and we teach people technical assistance, professional development. Oh my God, well, and I'm gonna tell you this, I always tell people I love good grandmas, right? Older Black women that want to see you succeed are the absolute best. Well, honey, you need to come on over here. Let me introduce you. Introduce me, girl. Yes, ma'am.
Because they know people.
Yes. And that's why I'm like, you have to, but you need to be in the room. You need to be approachable.
Yes.
And you actually need to be about your business.
You need to be approachable.
And be about your business.
Yes. I mean, mean mugging people when they walk in the room. You gotta have a presence about you. And people want to come up to you.
I love it.
You gotta have a presence.
And be ready.
Be ready.
So I had a dude to say, oh, well, can you send me your capability statement? Not a problem. Here it is on the website. Okay, let me go ahead and get you that link.
Yeah.
What? Yeah. Because we don't play about this.
No.
Who is this calling? Opportunity in God? What? Hello? Are we ready? Jesus, we doing an interview right now? Okay. God said we ready though. Okay. Hold on. Bye, y'all. Okay.
You see why I love her? Do y'all see why I love her? But this is her all the time. This is not fake. This is her.
Can't help
so
it.
you've got to love people who bring their whole self when they show up. I mean, because the thing that I love personalities. I love to watch people. I love people watching. I'm just a little sick. I'm gonna give y'all a little tip. I love watching people because I like to see how people interact. And I learn it by watching children. When you watch kids interact with each other, it's organic.
It is.
When you see a Black child and white child, they don't know racism. They don't know any hate. They're just playing. And you watch them organically develop a friendship and bond, and they're looking for each other. So my niece has found, when she comes to my neighborhood to visit me, I want to go see your neighbor with the dog. Well, they're not home. All she wants to do is see the dog. She's not worried about them. I want to see the dog. So kids learn how to organically just watch. So then when you watch a kid go into adult, and then you watch them come to a room, sometimes people stand off to the corner. And I always look for the person that's standing off to the corner. I often wonder why they're standing there. That may be my connection.
It probably is.
Yeah. So I'm watching a room. I'm watching people. So you got to also, as you said, come in the room, be quiet, observe, and watch what's around you. Because a lot of times, if it's God ordained, it'll come to you.
Yeah, I like to sit in the back. I used to always sit in the front, depending on what it is. If I'm going to a seminar or something like that, I'm going to sit in the front. But when it is like a conference, I like to be behind people because I like to see who people are talking to, who comes up to people, who's, just what they're doing. And it's one of those things where you can kind of say, okay, I want to go talk to that person. Oh, okay, so they know them. I love it when somebody shouts somebody out from the stage because then I want to go look and see, oh, well, they shouted you out, so you must be somebody, right? And so I like to do that, but I also think, and I'm going to throw this out there. I don't even know if it's a secret weapon, right? But this works well for me. When they say, do you have any questions?
Yes.
I don't know what your question needs to be, but God, have a question.
Have a question.
Because I'm telling you.
Have a question, y'all. I'm
going to get up and be like, hi, I'm Chisa Pennix-Brown. I'm the chief curator of Give It to the People. And our question is, or, you know what I'm saying? Something? And so it gives you the opportunity to advertise, right? And then sometimes you'll be like, and we do such and such. And we, and then now people are like, oh, okay. And they perk up and they listen. And then when you ask a really good question, that kills them.
Exactly.
That kills them. So, I mean, that's a secret weapon. I'm giving that to you. But this is why you also have to be attentive when you're going to things.
Absolutely.
Because if you pay attention, then you can find something good to ask. And then when you ask it, they're like, oh, that was a great question. And I'm like, thanks. I know it was a great question already, but now everybody knows it was a great question, and I just want to hear your answer to that great question. So, that's a little secret weapon. Okay, don't ask foolishness now, because then you look crazy.
It's absolutely.
But a good question, always have a good question in your pocket. And don't be scared to be the first one to ask a question either.
Absolutely, yes.
So that's a secret weapon. Take that into 2025 and beyond.
Listen, guys, this has been an amazing conversation. I've enjoyed this conversation. And listen, I need for you all to go over to her website, give it to the people, become a part of that membership.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you will not be disappointed. We've been connected for years, and I'm going to be a part. So I'm going to be the first one. I'm going to go to her site when I leave here today. I'm going to join because I believe in what she does. And when you believe in what someone does, you don't have a problem following them.
No.
And so I'm so excited. Y'all, guess what? She told me no, she couldn't be here. I got to tell the story. And she's like, nope, I'm only on Greensboro, only on Wednesdays. I said, oh, okay, well, we're planning something for 2025.
She did.
And she said, you must have been praying because I got to be in Greensboro because my hair is a mess. I was like, no, I wasn't praying. I wasn't. She said, you must have been. I said, look at God. And God, listen, I didn't want to invite you for some time, and I just like, okay, I couldn't get it. I said, Lord, I need to get her on before the year ends.
God
I
knew
need
what
to
he was
end
doing.
He knew what he was doing.
He knew what he was doing.
So listen, because when you have somebody in the moment, give it to the people. Dr. E, I'm telling you, this is going to be something that I see God doing for the new year. Connections, community is important. So listen, thank you for tuning in on Let's Think About with Dr. E. I believe 2025 is going to be an amazing year. Is there anything you want to leave the people with as we close out this episode?
Well, what I use when I do my classes, I tell people, always show up and show out and continue to give it to the people.
I am so glad that you've been riding this journey with me in 2024, but 2025 is going to be amazing on Let's Think About with Dr. E. So stay tuned, and thank you for riding this journey with me. Let's think about it.
Give it to the people.